Hey, I want to welcome our Kennesaw Happenings podcast. We're here at Overture, and in the studio is a local, soon to be very much a favorite, because people are going to be like, bring Allyson back. You'll know once we listen to it. I'm trying to embarrass her. So, Allyson, for those that haven't listened to your previous podcast, tell them who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Yes, I'm Allyson Taggart. I'm a local insurance agent. I work for farmers, so sell any type of insurance you can think of, from your pets to your home to your business to life. So pretty much anything we can insure, and yeah, love it.
Yeah, and you serve obviously people in the
Oh,
area.
yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Actually, all of Georgia. So I have
Okay.
clients far up on the Tennessee border, South Georgia. So anywhere in Georgia, but primarily, yes, Kennesaw, Ackworth, Cobb area.
We were talking before. Yes, we were talking before you came on about the cold leads versus a referral. Tell your kind of insight. What would you share with our viewers that might be out there thinking that they got to run digital ads or they got to get people that don't know you? Would you give them your perspective?
Absolutely. And I've tried a whole bunch of different methods, but especially I feel like with right now, where you're getting so much these auto calls and people are afraid to answer the phone. It feels like we're constantly being bombarded with that really the personal relationships are so much better. It gives you a little bit more credibility, and also building that trust a little bit sooner that you need. And when you do it that way for the customer, hey, the person that I'm working with is going to care more because, hey, Pete referred this person. I want to make sure Pete's good and the person that I referred, because he put his name on the line, as opposed to you're just maybe doing a random search or people are calling you to sell things, then you just really don't know what you're getting. So I find it much, much better, and it's more enjoyable.
Yes.
So you know a little bit more about them.
Yes. And maybe you can comment on this, but Christian was on yesterday, and he runs a business that caters to the seniors and providing services for seniors. And so we talked about when he first got in, he ran digital ads. There's one question that you will be sure to get when you're running cold traffic to you. The first question they say is, how much? Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on, in the past, did you see that same thing versus the other, which might be a little bit different questioning?
Yes, because at that point, they're not really selling the value. It's just a name. They don't, give me that bottom line. Whereas if it's someone that maybe you've worked with before, who's referring, and they've had an experience with you, then there's already that value piece that you can build from, as opposed to just what's the bottom line. And a lot of times with that too, they learn more about where, hey, if I'm just Googling, I might see Allyson Farmers and, oh, that's it. That's all she can do. And when you meet someone else and you say, well, actually, she sells for all these different companies. So the value is just, I think, more present, as opposed to just, that's the bottom line, which I like the bottom line too, but.
No, I think we chatted just for a second. And my partner, who's up in Canada, I had a small digital agency, and he was kind of nice to me because he knew I was running Google ads and other ads for my clients. And he would kindly say, there's a better way. And I was so conditioned to tell my clients, it takes time. And I think that's just an easy way of saying, I don't know what the heck my results are going to be, because really, if a person calls you, and they were referred, that, okay, you're not going to ask price. You're going to ask specific questions about the value you bring. Like, what do you cover boats? Do you cover motorcycles? What's the difference between this and that? And you're educating them on very detailed questions versus once you say price, you're defending price the whole time. They're not listening to the value proposition.
Right.
They're listening to how much are you versus the other person. That doesn't give you a true indication of what kind of service you can provide. Would you, anything you could add to that?
No, I think that's just so true. And well, I guess I will add that's a big thing, kind of going back to the value piece, because pricing and things change all the time. And so, especially in the insurance industry, you may get a situation where, that's a lot of things, because you got to know your competition. So, okay, this company is getting ready to file a rate revision, or this company is getting ready to do this. So you may get a situation where, okay, there may be $10, less a month, but probably in 6 months, you're going to get this happen. So just, and again, that has more value that, okay, this is someone that's paying attention to the industry as a whole. So yeah, I love the value piece.
Yeah. If somebody didn't listen to your previous podcast, we touched on it briefly. What was your dad's influence as you were growing up to where you're now a successful businesswoman in the community, adding value? Give our viewers an idea of what lessons he was teaching you along the way.
Yes, definitely word that sticks out as feedback. He taught me that, you can't be afraid to get feedback, and that's how you learn and that's how you grow. In fact, I remember we would go, whether it was a restaurant and a store, and if I started to hear the words, "Hey, do you mind if I give you some feedback?" I would just at first kind of tense up.
Yeah.
But he did it so nice
Yeah.
and so kindly, and it was just but it taught me not to be afraid of that, and really helped me grow. And then also he always said to me, treat everyone the same. Don't let anyone intimidate you. Don't, you treat everyone the same, everyone equally, and you build relationships. He was an executive, and he would always sit and talk to the receptionist and he would tell me hey, I got some people come on, hurry up, Mike, we got things to do. He's like, no, I'm talking and I build relationships with everyone.
Right.
And today it seems like, that's not really a big deal, but it is. You still they have the gatekeeper and things. I don't believe in that. You just talk to everybody and build those relationships.
Yeah, we, not to give our viewers our inside secrets, but I do have an inside secret to share with them. We only ask to come back the people that have that heart to share, that believe in relationships, that believe in education, to come back and further discuss things with us. So, so I wanted you to come back. 1, 2, I wanted you to see this facility, Overture, because we just got a new community manager. And in 1 week, she's done more in 1 week than we had accomplished in about 2 years. So I think you're going to see, and Bartina and I talk about it, is community is so important. Like you just stated, relationships. When people move in later, the 55 and older, journey, you're wanting relationships, because isolation is nothing good about that. Is having people you can talk to get feedback, to just build and learn, because you move into this place and it's kind of scary at first, because you're a little older and you're trying to build relationships and you're like, whoa, So I think to your point about relationships, it doesn't matter whether you're 25 or 85, you still got to build them because it's critical. So what would you say, in the community, what are you doing to be involved in the community to grow your business? Is there anything that you like and you can share with our viewers that has worked for you?
Yes, definitely. Things like this, getting to know my clients. We do so much over the phone or email or text messages. I mean, it's like, however you want to do business, it can be so easy now, but having those personal connections. So really starting there, how I can support my clients' endeavors or businesses or whatever, families. And then also just going to the places that I like and I frequent, and really, frequenting there and letting them know I enjoy it, and really giving a time of energy in the community. It's so funny because I always lived in Cobb, but for a while I was living in Midtown. And so I was always in Midtown, and then I would drive home to Kennesaw. And then I just was like, why am I giving all my time, energy, and money in Midtown? I don't live there.
Right.
Let me put it back into the community. So just getting out, getting to know people, supporting local business is my favorite, and getting to know my clients. It just makes it more enjoyable than just talking on the phone all the time.
Yeah, no, we have that same similar. I get stir crazy because I'm in here a fair amount. Is I just have to get out, So in the afternoon or so, I just have to get out and just be in the community, because you do, if you're talking on the phone a lot, you want to have that human interaction. So what would you say? I remember from our previous podcast, you moved down here kind of like cold turkey.
Yes.
So we had RJ Patel on, and he at 15 went to KSU, or it was called something else at the time, Kennesaw College or whatever it is. It's scary when you move into a new area. What kind of motivated you to kind of pull the roots up and come south? And because it's kind of hard to do. But how would you encourage people by you doing that move? Now you're plugged into the community. What was the first couple challenges that you could share with them that you overcame?
Well, definitely, I'm a firm believer that you start to live once you just jump out of your comfort zone. That's where you're really living. So my friend at the time, she was a flight attendant. And so I kicked her boyfriend out of there, and I was her companion. So I used her companion pass, and and it really opened my eyes. And I always like to travel, but it's just so different experiencing different wherever you travel to. And I said, I think it's time to live somewhere different. And she's like, I think so too. And then so it was literally like a conversation like this. And I remember like, well, when do we want to move? Because I kind of felt like if we sit on it too long, then you might start to talk yourself out of it.
Right.
I was working at Progressive at the time, so job's great, everything's great. And so we said, what about if we move let's do a couple months. Let's fly down there. We looked in the Marietta area, and we left, and we signed a lease. And I remember the whole time back, she's like, we signed a lease. We signed a lease. Like, it's done. I'm like, it's done. And I stayed for my friend's wedding and left. But really just kind of, for me, once I sort of click it in my mind that I'm going to do it, and it feels right. So we did come down and check it out first. And then I'm just kind of, I'm laser focused.
Right.
But I think the first step is just kind of like, it's going to be a little uncomfortable, and that's okay. And taking it from there. And I remember thinking, because that was 2006. And so we were like, well, if we don't like it, we can try it for a little while, but obviously we're still here.
Yeah, that's it. If you're listening to this, it's well past 2006.
Right.
So we know that you have hit the 10-year mark plus. And so you must have what do you like about Kennesaw? What would you share with people that are thinking about moving here?
Yes, it's just kind of like that family, I would say even like a friend community where there's certain places that you can go to and frequent, and you'll see some of the similar places. But even if it's a new place, there's just kind of this comfort. Again, kind of the Midtown, which I do love Midtown, but I had gotten my car broken into, and I'm like driving, and of course my friends are laughing like, well, aren't you insured? And I'm like, well, I'm still traumatized. I got my car broken into. And I went to the Publix, and I'm just talking to this lady at the Publix, and she's like, oh my gosh. And we just had the best conversation. But it's just that feeling where you can just go and strike up a conversation and feel like, oh, I just met a friend today. Whereas, being up north and I remember just going to work, being in the elevator, and wouldn't talk to anybody.
Right.
Like I've changed.
Right.
So maybe it's the location as well.
Yeah, what is it that saying Southern hospitality? I think there's a lot to be said with that. I've lived up north. I'm from Philly, so
Mhm.
I go back there, and my cousins give me a hard time about how I talk, but it is a different kind of mindset. I think here people will engage with you. They
Mhm.
will talk to you. Up there, sometimes it's like they're laser focused on looking straight ahead and not making eye
Right.
contact with the people that they see. So it does help. And then we have a great mayor. So Derek Easterly, I mean, he spoke at our Kennesaw Business Association to really share, his vision and he's a great leader. And I think having a great leader in the county kind of
Yes.
makes the county better. And I know the amphitheaters come in and just different events that will make, Kennesaw even better. So what would you say, like when you're not working, what do you like to do that in Kennesaw that you found to be interesting and you would want to share with our viewers?
Yes, well, in fact, later today, I like to try different restaurants. I'm a foodie,
Mm-hmm.
so I definitely like to try different places there. Also, I love to just walk around to the different parks, get outside.
Mm-hmm.
When we can this weather, but definitely doing that. And then sometimes a fun little thing that I'll do, because when we travel, like we'll do like a TripAdvisor, see. So I like to kind of do that when I'm at home sometimes, just look up to see if there's different little fun things that can be done, kind of like a staycation type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But yeah, definitely just
That is, that's good. I mean, because all work, no play makes a person
yeah.
boring. And so, since you changed your marital status here recently, you can't be boring. You have
Right.
to be engaging and of course, getting to know your new husband and things like that. So that's always good. Does he like to walk in the park? I mean, is he similar in your interests when we shared it with that?
Yes, he's like the same, likes to get outdoors, fishing. We'll find that he'll like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we're similar in that. I think the only thing we differ is our TV shows that we
Okay, really? So what is he action packed and you're different?
yes.
Like what's the difference? Just to be curious.
Yeah, so he's big into like the Marvel, that type
Mhm.
of, and I'm just kind of more crime shows, traders, just kind of reality TV. So
Mhm.
but we make it work. But yeah, that's another thing too. If I need to decompress and I need to just stay in, I'll just put on a show that I can just kind of zone out and
Mhm.
enjoy for sure.
It is a difference in, there's so many shows out there. I would think that would be a common thing that when you come together and what show do you like? I like this one. No, I don't like that kind of movie. Yeah. So how do you find common ground there?
Yeah, so the favorite thing that we like now are going to be the crime action movies.
Okay.
So we'll go on like Prime and kind of search those because I love kind of the crime. He likes the action, so that works really well.
That's good. Yeah. There's, it's part of just two different interests and finding common ground. Besides common ground, what would you say, like, because I think this is the first year that you've been married. Is
Mhm.
that what was like, and not to get into it, I'm not marriage counselor at all, but I'm just saying, like, did you find like you didn't think about it would be like this? Meaning like restaurant, he likes this food, I like this food. What was kind of something that you really didn't expect to be different on and you had to find common ground? Is there anything that sticks out?
Yeah, I was two things. I'll admit I thought it would be a little bit harder,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds a little cheesy, but I was kind of prepping myself because I lived by myself for a long time
Right.
and you get into your routine, you put things where you want. So I was kind of bracing myself for that. So that was pretty okay. But the thing that sticks out is, so I'm an organizer, I'm a visual person.
Right.
So if it's something outside on the counter, things like that, I'm like, okay, put it in your place. But my closets, drawers, I don't care. You can't see it. Or he's the opposite. If it's a closet, everything's organized. The junk drawer, no such thing, but leave this loud. I'm like, if we can just combine together, like, it would be perfect.
Yes.
But yeah, we're still working on that. But
Hey, look, what is it? The honeymoon is the first year. After the second year, you probably have to start really focusing on common ground. But yeah, the first year, hey, but so what would you like? What one business principle would you want to give our viewers that, you bought an agency existing? That's how we came together. I don't know how many clients you have. Let's say you have a lot. You got to get to know all these. What did you do, or what can you share that helped you transition to today that would be beneficial for our viewers to hear?
For sure. Well, I would say definitely for me, what helped was really making sure that I was available. It's easy, whatever work you're in, to get kind of tied up. I call it with the back end stuff. You got to make sure the lights are on, different things are happening, but really staying client and customer focused. And it sounds like, of course you have to, because that's how you do your business, but there's so many things that can be automated. Like, you can schedule emails, you can schedule out text messages and things like that. But I really try to make sure that I'm available. It's funny because sometimes I'll even get clients and they're like, oh, I forgot you had that person in your office, because I try to pick up the phone personally as much as I can, even if it's like, Stephanie will follow up with you, or Wasim will follow up with you, but at least to have, like, I am here and I'm, not just sort of in the background, not really a part of things. Like, no, you'll be working a lot with me. I think that's important, is really keeping it client focused and really checking in with yourself to make sure you are enjoying what you're doing. And if there's things that you maybe don't like as much, seeing if you can make some changes, because I'm a firm believer that you're going to be better at the things that you enjoy. That was a tip that I had from another business owner. So if there's things that you really love, which is, getting out and meet clients, do that. If you're more on the phone, then do the holiday calls. Just find that piece within it that you enjoy, because you'll do a lot better.
Awesome. That's good. And I know when you were just giving us those answers, you mentioned a couple names. So I'm thinking that you're building a team. What would you say has helped you learn about building a team that may be beneficial for our viewers?
Yeah, I think definitely from a believer in leading by example. First off, you're really not going to know maybe what works best initially if you don't get in there and try it yourself. So I'm always like, and that's how you build trust with your staff is, I'll never ask you to do anything I haven't done myself. And, being able to be like, I've been there. So really leading by example, but then also the listening piece. I mean, there's so many things that change with how you do your business. And so you can't just come in there and you have the ideas and this is how it's going to be, but really listen and grow together and let them feel empowered to really come up with ideas to help make things better.
Wow, that's some good advice. Thank you on that. So as we wind down, tell our viewers how they would be able to get a hold of you.
Sure. Yes. So I always laugh. I mean, Taggart's a common name, but not that common. So you can look me up online if that's what you like. Or you can definitely contact me directly, 770-213-7514. That's the great thing about this business. There's several ways.
Yeah.
But just remember the name Taggart and you'll find me somewhere.
Awesome. Well, I think there are going to be a lot of people that'll find you because, you have a philosophy that makes people feel comfortable and you connect. I mean, having done and do quite a few podcasts, you can see the difference between people. I mean, it's just, it's people. I mean, hey, we're in the people business. So it's interesting the strengths that different people have. And I would say, and I don't know, we didn't talk about your mom. We probably should.
I know she's going to be
okay. So we won't leave here. So tell us one thing your mom shared with you growing up that has helped you today.
Yeah, definitely with my mom. Funny enough, similar to the things with my dad, maybe that's why they got together. But she started, it's called youth reentry. So she helped youth transition when they left from jail. So she gave her all, and still does, to giving to the community. How can I give back? And so that was really something that she taught me as well. Find something that you can enjoy, but figure out how you can parlay that into really giving back. And so that was definitely a great.
Wow, that's good. Because we had Bob Kelly on yesterday, and he used an analogy I thought was pretty cool. If your fist is closed, how can you pick up anything? So if you have open hands, you're open to ideas, you're open to serving, you're open to do a lot of things. So, that's we'll have to pat your mom on the back for that, because that is serving and giving are so, so important. And I think it puts a mindset on it. It's not that you don't gain from doing it, but I think it just tells your heart that, hey, there's more than just taking.
Right.
So awesome. So Allyson, we always ask this, even though you've given a lot of good tips. What would you want our viewers to take away from this podcast?
I would definitely say, we're consumers with so many different things. Really make sure you're putting into and having a good experience. I think, I get a lot of times now, which is just, how it works, but like, oh, thank you so much for calling me back. Well, that should be the expectation. Or when you go to a store, you should get the good service and hello, can I help you? And I think, don't lose that, and just make sure whatever you're putting your time and money and consuming, that you're getting back from it. So I think that's really important.
Awesome. Well, we thank you for braving the cold and coming over here to Overture. Thanks for coming and visiting with us and our viewers. We appreciate having you back.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.